Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment is brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. For more than 100 years, A.G. Hines Company has been supplying East Tennesseans with the best building material and tools at the very best prices. Plus, you get a century's worth of experience when it comes to advice and answered questions. They've figured out a lot in 100+ years at A.G. Hines Company. Back this segment with Jimmy, Will, and Mark. So Tennessee turns to the final 2 weeks trying to win an SEC regular season championship, trying to go for a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. It's never been done. And we'll start out that process against former Tennessee basketball coach Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers, one of the top contenders in the SEC as well. Mark, we've seen a lot of Bruce Pearl basketball, you especially. What have you seen from this Bruce Pearl team? How does this team, what Auburn does, compare to what we typically see from a Bruce Pearl team?
Yeah, well, you've heard all season us talk about Tennessee's offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency, the rankings putting them in a chance to win the national championship, because a team that finishes in the top 25 in both categories have won the national championship. Auburn's one of those teams as well.
Yep.
They're really good defensively. They're top 6 or 7 defensive teams in the country by Ken Pomeroy. Same thing with offense. They're I think 22nd in the country in offense.
Updated numbers, they're top 15 in both categories.
So they can score the ball. The difference for this team is Broome, in my opinion. He's second in rebounding in the league, top 10 in scoring, but he plays with that tenacity, that bulldog mentality that we know Bruce Pearl teams have. The thing that is common about Bruce Pearl's teams is the depth. They have their bench scores 35 points a game, which leads the conference. So they're going to bring in waves of guys. They're going to attack downhill like they always do, mix it up. The ball pressure, what they're going to do is they're going to try to ball pressure and wear Zakai Ziegler out. Just wear him down with full court pressure, whether or not to get a turnover or to just make him tired so he can't do what he did last night.
I think they also, it's weird because in February they shoot fewer threes than any Bruce team we've seen at Auburn, I think, so far. I think 26 is the highest three-point attempt total that they have in the month of February right now, but they hit a lot of them. I think 3 of the games in February they've hit more than 50% beyond the arc while attempting more than 23s. It does seem like it's a lot about who is going to step up on the bench. Broome's going to get his, Williams is going to get his, and then the other guys, it's almost like the NBA where those are our scorers. We're here to stay, to space the floor and play defense, and that's what we do. And then who is it that steps up off of the bench for Auburn? That's going to be a big difference maker.
They had a guy the other day that I didn't know much about, and he got 25.
Yeah.
He had lost his high school coach and apparently was motivated by that. Auburn's a team that I don't think you want to be tied with 10 minutes left in the game, because as Mark alluded to, their depth is really good, and they keep coming at you. You need to have a lead in that last 10 minutes so they can wear you out. And I think that'll be a key for Tennessee.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, to what Mark said, my concern here is Tennessee goes 7 or 8 deep right now. And do you feel comfortable if Tennessee, with 8 minutes left, like Jimmy said, that Auburn's bench versus Tennessee's depth, who's going to have the fresh legs, who's going to have healthy legs? That's a little bit of a concern that I have for Tennessee coming into this game.
Right. And their assist-to-turnover ratio is really good. My concern is you saw something with Gainey last night and with Meshack. If those are your 2 primary guards coming off the bench right now, neither one are really strong with the basketball and taking care of it. They struggle from the outside at times, whereas Auburn's guard depth, they are doing things where they're not only knocking down shots, but they're continuing to get guys involved.
What about the mindset of a Bruce Pearl team? They're coming on the road, so Tennessee will have the home court advantage. I'm sure Bruce will try to play that up as best he can to have his team mentally ready for what they'll face at the Food City Center.
Pearl is the king of motivation. He'll find any way to get his guys motivated. I was texting with him earlier about a team that they had beat, and it was something that was said by one of the players last year after the game that he brought up, that he wanted to prove that guy wrong. And so he's going to find any nook and cranny, any way that he can to get his guys motivated.
You guys like these are the type of games to close out a regular season? Tennessee just went through a more comfortable stretch in terms of the level of opponent. What do you think?
Yeah, I do. I debate this, but I think overall it helps prepare you for the NCAA tournament. The other part of that is, does it wear you down?
Right, your legs.
So you could argue that both ways, but I would prefer to play the really good competition later in the year, and because I think that helps you become tournament tested.
I get a little concerned when I first looked at the schedule and said, you just close them a murderer's row, right? But if you look at that 3-game stretch early on in the season where Tennessee plays 3 top 5 teams, how much better did they get after that? So can you have a similar effect heading into the SEC tournament because you're playing these 4 top teams to close out the regular season?
This is why I'm not a big SEC tournament guy. I'd rather have you have this 4-game stretch and then not get all the way to the championship to get an extra couple days of rest in preparation for the next gauntlet that's coming, which is the NCAA tournament.
I think fans have come onto that side too, right? They got the SEC tournament title a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I think most fans' reaction has been, okay, we got it, we're good. Let's focus more on the NCAA tournament, that Final Four run, which is the big focus right now for Tennessee. So Tennessee, Auburn, we will have more conversation about Bruce Pearl, what he will try to do against Tennessee on both ends of the floor coming up in a couple of segments. When we come back, a big milestone for Rick Barnes. And how many more of these matchups will we see between Bruce Pearl and Rick Barnes? We'll have that next.